Thank you. Wasn't that wonderful? I saw that Iris said, wowza. I mean, isn't he amazing? And we get this every Sunday. We're just so blessed. So as I welcome you once again to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, our theme for the month is Miracles in May. I love this theme and I thought how timely. Miracles in May. And today's topic is Miracles Are Natural. And I facilitated the Course in Miracles for 25 years when I was in my San Diego ministry. And one of the verses that I absolutely resonated to at such a deep level, where miracles are natural. And when they do not occur, something has gone wrong. All expressions of love are maximal. All expressions of love are maximal. That miracle, if we look at our daily life as our temple and our religion, that we awakened this morning, we took our first conscious breath, the miracle of life that imbues itself within us at a DNA cellular level, and we arise in this recognition that we are created in the image and likeness of something so powerful that does move beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation. It's the ground of being. It is our oneness. There's a little story about a child in Sunday school, and she was drawing, very intent. And the Sunday school teacher said, "What are you drawing, Sally?" And she says, "I'm drawing a picture of God." The Sunday school teacher was taken aback and said, "Well, no one knows what God looks like." And she said, "They will when I finish." She knew they will when I finish, because God is personal to each and every one of us. And it doesn't matter what we call God, does it? Father, Mother, Yahweh, Jehovah, yes. Buddha, Krishna, it doesn't matter. But to acknowledge that which is within us, that energy, that light, that power, that presence. And Jesus, who became the Christ, said, "I of myself can do nothing." It's the Father within that does the work. It's the power within that does the work. It's the energy within us that does the work, no matter what name we put on it, as we go within. And we have been so called upon during this time of isolation, of being cloistered, of behind closed doors. Of course, I live out here in the country, so we're walking a lot. And I live, on where there's a prairie and mountains, and so I feel very, very blessed by that. I look out, and these mountains remind me of the Himalayas. And when I was in India, I made the equation, and I thought, wow, I am blessed. But those of you who are in apartments and you're in cities, we have to go within and just keep recreating the energy field. And I loved, and I thought this was miraculous, in Italy, where people were looking out their balconies and they began singing to one another, and singing operas and singing all the songs that they knew, back and forth, beyond the reach of hands, yet forever in the heart. So when we're looking at miracles are natural expressions of love, and that the ground of being in this energy field is the opportunity that we have to move beyond what is the appearance, the condition, and the effect. To move beyond that is to recognize that we are not stuck in our own mindset, that we have opened our mind. This is what's so beautiful about our mind, that we can go within. In fact, Einstein said it. He said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Imagination. And we certainly do have that. And it's really fascinating, because as we look at our lives, that we're the sum total of every experience that we have ever had. So when we're looking at the natural flow of even the word miracle, that there is a natural unfoldment, there is a natural flow, and that when we are miracle ready, that miracles appear. And the Course in Miracles states about the ego, that we're not there to really fight the ego. We're there to allow ourselves to know its function. Because the ego serves our higher self. a little Ugandan girl. She was 9 years old, and she wrote a poem. And she said, I have a little brain tucked safely in my head. And the other one that's in the air instead. It plays with me and laughs with me and talks to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. So that ego part of us, the other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. The paralysis of analysis, the hypothesizing, theorizing, all the things that are going on in the world. I have a little brain tucked safely in my head. And another one that's in the air instead. It talks to me and plays with me and tucks to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. So we make a discernment here, a distinction, that there is that amazing part of us that's so expansive, and that we tap into that energy and we feel the freedom of that energy. And there are times that we feel constricted. There are times that we feel weighted down and overwhelmed. And then, all of that little monkey chatter that starts. And when I go into that mode, I just be still and know that I am God. To be still, to still our thoughts, and to recognize there is a power and a presence in the energy and the universe, and I choose to tap into it here and now. And when I tap into that amazing, expansive energy, I have a little brain tucked safely in my head. And the other one that's in the air instead, it talks to me and plays with me and sings to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. So we get out of our head and we get into the energy of this is the day the Lord hath made. And I consciously choose. And I believe the moment of enlightenment is the moment that we know we have a choice. I consciously choose to rejoice and be glad in it. It is a gift from God. Whatever we conceive our God to be, whatever name we put on our higher power. Now, when I had my San Diego ministry, I used to teach science in my classes, and they would be over about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And on the way home to Coronado, where I lived and raised my daughter, there was a gym, and it was open till midnight. And I would go to the gym, and I would sit in the jacuzzi, and I would swim, and I am a swimmer, and I love swimming. And I would leave about midnight. And I was on the 163. And as I was making like the curve on the 163 freeway, and those of you who know San Diego know that Balboa Park's off the 163, the San Diego Zoo is off 163. It's a beautiful little stretch with trees and flowers, and it's been preserved. Thank you, environmentalists. And as I was making the curve, there was it had like a little bridge over it. I saw a young man on the bridge, and he jumped. Now, I am the only one at midnight on the 163 freeway. I pull over immediately. And I have an Afghan that my mother-in-law, my late mother-in-law, had made for me, and I grabbed it and I wrapped it around him, and I said that I am Dr. Sharron Stroud. I am a minister, and I'm going to say a prayer for you. And I just began speaking my word at that moment. As I said, there is one life. That life is God's life, and kind of embraced him. A man pulled over. He came running up. He said, I'm a doctor. And he had his little bag with him. And he had, he was wrapping his leg. And then at that moment, when he said, I'm a doctor, another person pulled over. She jumped out of her car. Now, she didn't know I was the minister at first on the scene. She didn't know the gentleman was a doctor. She said, my name is Mary, I'm a nurse. So there we were. I'm saying prayers. The doctor is wrapping his leg. And it was discovered later that he said he broke his femur. He could see the bone. I mean, it was not pretty. And the nurse was assisting the doctor. And he lay there, and he was mad. He said, I was supposed to die. And I said, guess what? You didn't. You're supposed to be here. Honey, do you know how powerful you are? You jumped from the 163 bridge and you created a minister, a doctor, and a nurse. You are so powerful. You're supposed to be here, honey. And the ambulance came, and he loved my Afghan. I said, you take it, sweetheart. And when you get better, you come and see me up here in Mission Valley. It's the church up on the hill. It's the metaphysical church. It's the San Diego Spiritual Center on the hill. And about 6 months went by, and I was, conducting my 3 services in our darling church that seated at that time 500, and we did have to sell it, and we moved into a larger facility. But I was at the door, and I always like being at the door to greet, no matter how many people, to greet everyone is part of our spiritual family, and we're there just to greet each other and to give each other that moment of grace. And the young man, handsome young man, I didn't recognize him, he said, my name is Bradley, and we've met. I said, oh, wonderful. And then I looked into his eyes, and I said, Bradley, okay, we met. We met, didn't we? He said, yes, when I jumped from the 163 bridge down onto the freeway. And you were the first one there. And you held me. And you put your Afghan around me. And you said a prayer. And then the doctor came and helped me. And the nurse came. And what you said has resonated in my heart ever since. How powerful I am. That I created a minister, a doctor, and a nurse on the scene after midnight on the 163 freeway. And he said he went back to school, that he was studying to be a doctor himself. And as I listened, and I was so heartened, and he started coming to our ministry. That when we talk about miracles are natural expressions of love, that wherever we are, it's the right place at the right time. And even though people say, oh, I wasn't at the right place at the right time, we were there for what we needed to learn, to grow, and to unfold. And when we get that there is no space where God is not. There is no spot where God is not. That God goes before us, that energy goes before us and prepares the way as we become a light unto our own feet, drawing others into our light and energy field. Each and every one of us is so powerful. We don't need to jump from a bridge to find out how powerful we are. It is right where we are. And when we acknowledge that this power, this presence, this energy within us, all around us, moving through us, connecting us. Yes, connecting us. Because I see you. And I am not looking at a camera. I'm looking into your soul. And you are gazing into mine, and we are connected. And that what goes on with one really goes on with all. And that part of that, our shared humanity, is our compassion, one for the other. That we're not going to judge anything outside of us. We're going to send compassion. I love the little Zen story about the 4 monks that were going to go into 3 weeks of utter silent meditation. And the very first night, the candle began to flicker and it went out. And so the first monk said, the candle went out. And the second monk turned and said, you're not supposed to be speaking. The third monk looked at them and said, you ruined it for me. And the fourth monk started laughing and saying, I was the only one that didn't speak. In other words, yeah. We're all guilty. We're all guilty of one thing or another, right? So we can't really judge anybody else. There's so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. It behooves me. Who's going to judge the rest of us? So we keep our own counsel. We work on ourselves. Yes, we want a certain level of mastery. But as long as we are here, doing what we are doing in the world and of a higher spiritual vibratory frequency, as long as we are here, guess what, gang? We have work to do. We all have feet of clay. We're all working on ourselves. And as we work on ourselves and we're moving up the spiral and we got it and it's wonderful. And Buddha said that life is like hands clapping. I've got it. It'll never go away from me. Thank you, thank you. Where'd it go? I got it. I don't. I got it. I don't. I got it. I don't. In other words, there are those moments of illumination, those flashlight moments of illumination. We got it. Oh, I don't. Where'd it go? I got it. So what we're striving and how we're unfolding in our spiritual work, striving for, is attainment of nirvana, which is the highest state of heaven on earth that we can attain to. I was on a program this week, and I've been on quite a few of these Zoom programs, and she said, she asked me about heaven and hell, and what our belief was. And I said, we believe that they are states of consciousness and not geographical locations. And when we've all, been to hell and back, passed each other on the way. I love the story about the tour guide. He was Greek. They were in Greece. And a Texan looked down the volcano and said, "My God, it looks like hell." And the Greek tour guide said, "Oh my goodness, you Americans have been everywhere." And we have, haven't we, right? We have. We know what hell looks like. And you know what? We know what heaven looks like. Yes. And I am opening to experience heaven on earth and to let go of what no longer serves me. And when stuff bubbles up, you think you've handled it, just return it to its native nothingness from whence it came, because it is neither person, place, nor thing. Remember that. It's the life and the energy that we give unto it. So on this glorious, beautiful day, miracles in May, with so much going on the planet, with our hearts filled with compassion and with the energy of caring. And we've had our Facebook friends, one dear, dear friend had her mother pass of this virus. And I wrote to her, and she is a hospice chaplain, and she is an amazing psychologist. And I said, dear, you have been preparing all your life for this moment. And as your mother transcended, she's sending forth her energy in such a powerful way. And her mother was all about sacred service, and she was and her mother was 82, and she was in the elder homes, and she was helping when she contacted the virus, and she transcended. And so there is such, a sadness when we have this mother wound or this father wound. But when they pass on into the other side, that we are not alone. My late husband, I feel his energy all the time. And when we tap into that energy and we bless all those that have been with us on this walk and on this journey, and then they've gone on ahead. And as they've gone on ahead, when we make that transition, they'll be there for us. So we are living in very interesting times. And there are no pat answers or little cliches or all the little metaphysical peanut butter that we spread on stuff, right? To make it more palatable. No. This is pretty heavy stuff. Yes. And we want to acknowledge that. And we want you to know that if there's anyone with us this morning that possibly cried themselves to sleep last night, know that you are not alone, that you are loved and enfolded in the everlasting arms of God's love, and that we send out this love to you here today. So guess what? I have a little brain tucked safely in my head, and another one that's in the air instead. It talks to me, it plays to me, it sings to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. So guess where I'm going? I'm going in the more expansive energy. And as I go into the more expansive energy, I know that I'm going somewhere. And where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. And so it is. I say to you, namaste. The God in me celebrates the God in you, and the God in you celebrates the God in me. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. I say to you, shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, every one. And so it is. Just know that I love you and I'm grateful for you. And our beautiful Prince Fleet has something so wonderful for us. So take it away, Fleet.